Estimating in Scrum uses a unit of measurement called story points. But why? Why can't we use hours, days, minutes, seconds, or any other unit of measurement? Why do you use story points? Are you trying to confuse people? Are you trying to conceal information? Well, a few months back, I made this video talking about story points, the difference between story points and estimating in hours, and you requested a part 2. In this video, I'm going to focus on all the arguments against story points, and I hope that by the end of this video, we'll finally know which method of estimating is better. Before even trying to compare the two story points and hours, let's get back to the why. Why are we even estimating in the first place? Is the process of estimation bringing more value to the customer, or is it a waste of time? Remember, we are in software development. We are trying to develop software and estimate software development, which is hard simply because, as per the Scrum Guide, in complex environments, what will happen is unknown, and we are trying to predict this unknown future. Let's face it, on Monday morning in the daily Scrum, a developer tells you that the feature will be fully finished in terms of development and also fully tested in 2 days. We already know that the feature will be available next week. No way it's gonna be finished in 2 days simply because we are in a complex environment. It's not the developer not doing anything. No, it's not that the developer is not working, it's not giving 100%. No, nothing to do with that. Simply because we are in an unknown environment. So many things can go wrong. Environments can go down. Dependencies can be slow. Many teams can be not available because they are working on other things, production issues, changing requirements, last minute changes in requirements. So many things can go wrong. And in an agile environment where we should welcome change, ever-changing environment, that's okay. But still, estimations are required. Simply because I've never met a client or upper management or directors that didn't require estimations. They need a date, they need a release date, they want to know by when the feature or product will hit the market. Some people in the Agile community tell you that it shouldn't work this way. No. You should just say, when you get this question, by when will it get done? You should just say, it will get done when it's done. Come on. Well, I don't know what this person is smoking, but we are in reality here. And in reality, when we get the question, by when will this feature be released, we need to find an answer. So let's agree on this. We have a core reason. Management, clients, customers, they want to know. And we need to be able to find the best possible answer to this question. And the answer are story points. Funny enough, I couldn't find a clear definition of what story points are on the internet, which is quite surprising. But here's one that I really like. Story points are units of measure for expressing an estimate for the overall effort required to fully implement a product backlog item or any other piece of work. Teams assign story points relative to work complexity, the amount of work, the risk, and also uncertainty. Story points are intended to make estimations easier compared to estimating in hours. When estimating in story points, we just consider the complexity, the effort, the risk, and uncertainty of a user story relative to other user stories. Now, let's quickly have a look at all the arguments for using story points compared to man-hours. First, it makes it abstract. Let's imagine a scenario. You are with your team in the sprint planning. They committed on a sprint goal and a list of user stories. They're taking this sprint 100 points. You already know that they are cautious. They usually take less than they can do. And indeed, at the end of a sprint, they did 150 points. So you know next sprint, you can advise them. So instead of taking 100 points next sprint, let's take maybe 125, 130, or even 150 points next sprint. That's easy when using story points. Imagine that now in hours. You already know that they are cautious. So instead of taking 5 days of work, because it's as you're using 1 week sprints. Instead of taking 5 days of work, you tell them that we are too cautious, let's take more. So you're basically taking 7 days of work in a 5-day week. I don't think that people might understand where we are going with that. Just imagine stakeholders or management looking at that. Oh, okay, when you're estimating work, people are working 7 days out of a 5-day week. That's good. Now, let's look at it the other way around. You're supporting a team which is over-optimistic. They take 100 points, story points this sprint, but they only end up doing 50. So the next sprint, they take 50 points, and indeed they meet their commitment. The client is satisfied, managers in the company satisfied, and every single sprint, they take a little bit more, and you see this progression in terms of velocity. Yeah, that's good. Everyone is happy. Now, imagine that in hours. The team is over-optimistic, so you recommend that the team only take 3 days of work out of a 5-day sprint. Only 3 days of work. Just imagine what managers will think when they see that. Just imagine what managers will think. Oh, you're only working 3 days this week? Or clients, you're billing clients for 5 days, but you're only working 3 days. Story points makes things easier. It makes things abstract, and it's easy to commit using story point and also adjust your commitments. One of the big problems with estimating in hours is that we're estimating only the effort, not the risk, not the complexity, not the uncertainty. And also your effort and my effort, different. Maybe I'm a beginner software developer. I can do something in 1 day. You're a senior. You can do that in a few hours. How do you treat this scenario? You can take the average. Let's say you take 4 hours as average. But what about risk? What about uncertainty? What about complexity? How can you treat that? Well, I feel that you can still estimate the risk, the uncertainty, the complexity based on past data. Maybe you're already using man hours to estimate the work. You can check other stories in terms of complexity, risk, and uncertainty, and compare that to the story that you're estimating, and you still estimate it in hours. So instead of 4 hours, it's going to take 2 days to do it because you included all these other things. This approach is way better than estimating only the effort, but still, it can be optimized. Let's take a simple example to compare man hours and story points estimation. Let's say you need to travel from point A to point B by car, and you estimate that it's going to take 30 minutes and 3 story points. So man hours estimation and story points estimation, 3 against 30 minutes. Now, that's without traffic, but with traffic, you estimate that it's going to take an additional 15 minutes. So 45 minutes man hours, and story points, you estimate that it's going to take an additional 2 points. So 5 points. We have 45 minutes versus 5 points. I ask you a simple question. How long will it take from point A to point B? This group will tell me, the man hours group will tell me 45 minutes. And the next group, they won't be able to answer this question. 5 points, what does 5 points mean? They'll tell you that they need to do the run multiple times, and they will know how long it's going to take. But I don't have time for that. I want to know on the first run how long it will take. And they will do something. They will convert the points to hours. In their mind, they will convert the point to hours because I want to know how long it will take. The man hours are already doing that. But the story points peeps, they will be doing this conversion. And remember the goal. What's our goal that we started this video with? We need to provide a release date. So at any point in time, either you're using man hours or story points, you'll need to provide a date. And date means that you need to provide a date and time, converting it in hours. No matter what you're using as a measurement for estimations, you always need to provide a date and time, so you need to do the conversion. And if you always need to do this conversion, why are we using story points in the first place? Why can't we use hours to estimate? Why are we trying to make something complex even more complex with story points that no one understands? And to make matters worse, in Agile we have this growth mindset. We always want to improve how we estimate how much work we take every single sprint. Let's talk about estimation. We want to improve how we estimate work. So we need to know how we estimate and the actual time it took. How do you do that in story points? So there's a 5-pointer. Instead of points, they travel 30 minutes. So at the end of his travel, at the destination, do you estimate it again? How do you know what the final pointer was? Was it a 3-pointer, a 7-pointer? How long did the actual travel take? It can be done in story points, but it's complex. In hours, super easy. You just set a timer on your phone and you do the run and you see that it's gonna take 50 minutes instead of 45. You already know that you have 5 minutes more. You underestimated it, and next time you know that you shouldn't be underestimating because you have data. You can also do that when using story points. You can use the same approach, but you still need to do that conversion. Same problem. So how do you estimate in hours the correct way? Well, same as story points. Instead of estimating only the effort, you estimate uncertainty, risk, complexity. Same as story points. You go into the meeting. When you were using planning poker to estimate in story points, you use planning poker to estimate in hours to remove the bias. And you estimate in the same way. The problem with estimating in hours is that people only estimate the effort. We talked about that earlier. If you estimate all the other things also, same as story points, I believe that hours is better. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.